This next one I've heard the most.
This is a really, really uncomfortable question.
No, but it's really important to say because people say this all the time.
I know.
People have asked me so many times, so is it true what they say about black guys? And you can assume what that is.
What an awkward thing to say.
It's so
right?
freaking awkward.
And something that I was shocked by was that there will be other interracial relationships around, other black men, Negro women, and they're not gonna help you. They are not your friend. They ain't looking out for you.
I don't know. I just feel like there are a lot of benefits to dating inside your race. Like there's just a common understanding. When I tell my man I need to stop over at the Asian beauty supply store for a scarf, he know what that scarf for. Not for my hair, that ain't for my neck. I feel like if I'm with a white guy, he might be like, the Asian beauty supply store for a scarf. Baby, we can go to Banana Republic.
Love me or hate me, God knows you made it. Winning ladies' eyes on me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of This Bahamian Gal. My name is Rogan. This is This Bahamian Gal. On my platform, I do social commentary and reaction videos. I encourage my audience to have private conversations in public. How many of you watching this video right now are in an interracial relationship? How many of you have been in an interracial relationship? I've never been in an interracial relationship in my life. I'm not against it at all. I'm not one of those people who gives people the stink eye when they're, with somebody of a different race. Like, you do you live your life. I'm happy for you. Like, I'm not that person. I don't know. I just always have this feeling that I'm going to have to sacrifice who I am to be with you. And I'm not prepared to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to come complete and whole to the relationship without having to feel like I have to speak a different way. Y'all know I could break into my Bahamian dialect at any given moment. That will not change. That does not change in my regular life. Y'all know I could show up with my natural hair. I don't want to have to straighten my hair to appear more European for anyone. I'm just not going to dial down, or dial back who I am. That's a huge fear of mine. And I came across this video that the content creator has since taken down, but I luckily I have a copy of it. I don't know why she took it down, but this is a woman, a black woman, American, who was in an interracial relationship, and she's sharing some of her experiences. And I'm not gonna lie, as she was sharing her experiences, I started hearing like the voice of like some of my girlfriends, one in particular who was just like vehemently against interracial relationships. And not that she cares if anybody else is in it, but she doesn't want it for herself. And she explains so many things that I heard echoed in this video. Anyway, I don't want to ramble too long because I'm going to give my commentary or my reaction as we go along. So let me just let's just jump right into it.
Facts about being in an interracial relationship or marriage that nobody is going to tell you but me. So listen up. Your white partner is going to experience a decline in their white privilege, and it is going to cause a crash out like you have never seen. And here's the thing, they don't even tell the white people this. They get blindsided by it too. And the way that it works is wild. Speaking from my experience and how it went, you meet a guy, and on either side, it can be fetish, lust, like, love, whatever. Then they take you around their white friends. And now, black women, what you need to know is a group of not racist white men, especially young white men, are always going to be cool. They're always going to think you're hot, you're cool, be totally down with however you're representing yourself and whatever. Because white men in their white privilege have the freedom to think however they want to think. It's when the company gets mixed that things start to get hinky. And by mixed company, I mean those same white guys plus their white girlfriends and wives, white family, white coworkers, white friends. Then the dance starts because you have people who are on different levels of privilege, class, and power. And they're looking at you and they're trying to place you, and it better not be above them. So now you, as the black girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or whatever, wife, have to do a dance. You have to position yourself between stereotype of what everybody wants you to be so that they can be comfortable in their white superiority delusion of this is what a black person is, and That's what I need to see to know that I'm here. But you also have to be assimilated enough into white culture that you're not deemed a threat, that they can relate to you, they understand you, they see that you are parroting certain norms and things, that they know that they can relax a little bit. So it's a constant dance, because do not walk into a room full of insecure white people and be all that and a bag of chips. Oh, you in danger, girl. Because if you walk in there and you're not playing their little game that makes them feel good about themselves, if you walk in there and you are intellectual, you have poise, class, a great job, you're well educated, style, if you're not afraid of them, if you're not seeking their approval, if you are unbothered, they are not gonna like that. And they're gonna start looking at your white partner like, how dare you bring that here?
Let me stop here. She has more, and we're going to get back to that. Again, I've never been in an interracial relationship, but I do know people who have. And in our private conversations, their talking points are very similar to what this lady is saying. And you know, earlier I talked about just feeling weird about not bringing my complete self to the table, and I wouldn't be comfortable with that. A lot of people who I've spoken to, they're friends, they will say like, you know, I felt like I was being constantly judged, and so I wouldn't speak, you know, they would basically code switch. You know, like how when you're with your friends, your black friends, and I'm speaking to black folks now, but you know, you could just kind of let loose and just speak how you speak. There's just like an understanding, like you might say, oh, that part, and they just get it. They would feel the need, and this is what they told me, to kind of clean it up, to code switch, to speak standard English around white people, because they didn't want them to think that they were ignorant or ghetto or whatever. And so they would just like speak properly the whole time, and it just didn't feel natural, because in the course of conversation, white people don't always just speak standard English. They break into whatever dialect they have to, and like whatever they say, they do that. But it just feels for them, for black folks, that, you know, you have to constantly perform for somebody else. And that's something I'm not down with. I have never felt that in a relationship, but I've definitely felt that in work environments, and felt the pressure that is, but never succumbed to that, never fell victim to it. Because like I say, when I show up as Rogan, with all her natural hair, her natural attitude, her natural voice, her natural accent. It is what it is. But I have seen and experienced a difference when I'm around mixed company. I've noticed a difference in the workspace and how I'm treated. So I certainly would not want to deal with that in a relationship space. You know, if I'm with a white guy, he needs to understand that I'm not changing, you know, and I don't show up and act a fool. I'm always respectful, but I will not be disrespected. I certainly wouldn't want to betray myself just to fit in any group. I'd rather not be with you. And I think that's why a lot of people are more comfortable sticking with their own race.
And in order to keep their community of white delusion thriving, they have to remove any perceived threats, actual threats, anything that is not vibing in that collective understanding of who they deem themselves to be. And so that decline, that dismissal from white privilege is going to hit your white partner hard. They are going to get social backlash, stop being invited to things. Their family is going to start haranguing them about keeping you in line. Their buddies are not going to come over because their wives don't like you. There's going to be a lot of things that happen. And not only will they possibly have a decline in their social status, their white privilege, but their upward mobility within white privilege can be chopped off, especially if it's at work. If they have a boss or a boss's spouse that feels some kind of way, all of a sudden promotion opportunities are not there for them. You are literally by showing up as your authentic self, by being real, by not taking any flack, or even if you are so token and so playing the game, but that other white person who has a little bit more power than your partner is threatened or is insecure, there's nothing that you can do to stop them from wanting to yank privilege away from your partner or your spouse. It is what it is.
I know this all sounds so like conspiracy theory-ish and crazy, but again, these are things that I have been told. And so, I can't speak from a place of authority on this, but I can only report like what I've been told by other people. You also have to understand that you do have some Black people who can be sensitive. Everything, and I said this to a former coworker of mine before, and we had a great discussion because she would call certain things racist. And I would be like, let's like kind of deconstruct that then. Like, let's talk about it. And then in the end, she would be like, yeah, maybe you're right. It wasn't racist. Maybe that person's just an idiot or whatever. Like, everything isn't racist. And I think sometimes people are like, I don't want anything. And this is for white people, I'm just assuming. They would be like, I don't want anything that I say misconstrued. So I just rather not be in that space. I don't think that's the greatest attitude to have on either side. I think people should be willing to say, hey, if there's something that I say that offends you, please, stop me, correct me. But, I want us to have a conversation. But what you don't do is just isolate yourself from someone or just say, I don't want that person around, period. Because we live in a global community and we should be talking to one another. And yes, sometimes toes get stepped on, but then you correct yourself and you move forward. I don't know. Anybody who's in an interracial relationship, you guys will have to tell me how you feel about that. Do you feel like your partner has, like, there's been a slowdown in them being invited to certain things because you're with them? And this can be Black women or Black men who are dating not just white but Asian or Hispanic partners. Like, just tell me.
The first question is, what do you wish the other person understood about your race on a deeper level?
That's a pretty good question. I'd have to say one of the things that I wish you understood a little better is just being stared at. There's been many times, it still happens, a lot less now, but I know someone's staring at me and I know they're judging me. I can tell. I can tell when someone's appreciating my differences, and I can tell when somebody is like, what's that Black guy doing in this town?
How often do you feel like you experience that?
I think it's a lot less now. But when I was growing up, it was all the time because it was pretty much just me and my sister in this all white town. And even my mom, who is white, she experienced a lot of it too, because she would be walking down the road with two little Black kids and people would be staring at her. And so in the same way, I kind of wish that you understood where I'm coming from and why I often just don't like being stared at. Like, I know that's something that comes up. I'll be like, that person's staring at me. And you're like, yeah. Oh, like they probably don't mean anything by it. And I'm like, no, they're staring at me and I don't like it.
Because
I know.
If I were to date a white man, I would need him to kind of have his eyes open. Not kind of, he has to have his eyes open about certain things. I'm not a sensitive person at all. And I like being around different people as well. I think that makes it fun and interesting. You learn from different people. But I don't like being around rude people or people who deliberately try to gaslight you or exclude you and then think you don't pick up on that sort of stuff. So I don't want to be the only one picking up on it. I would need my partner to be picking up on that as well. Just wanted to take a second to say thank you so much to all of my channel members. And also, if you want to become a channel member, you'll see all the ways that you can do that in the description box. If you are getting value from this video, you're enjoying it, please give it a thumbs up. Also, leave comments down below. And if you want to support this channel, you can scan the QR code on your screen to buy me a coffee, or you can pick up some merch in my merch store. All of the details are down below. You can even see the top shelf at the bottom of the screen so that you can just buy a hat, hoodie, whatever it is that you like. Back to the video.
And something that I was shocked by was that there will be other interracial relationships around, other Black men, Negro women, and they're not going to help you. They are not your friend. They ain't looking out for you. Because if they stand up for you, if they speak up, if they try to mirror you, hell, if they even be nice to you or acknowledge your presence before anything else pops off, that could be seen as a threat. Because you have to remember, they're doing the same dance, right? They are also having to toggle between stereotype and non-threatening assimilated token. So they are having to consciously or subconsciously protect the white privilege of their spouse and the standing of their spouse for their own self-preservation. So no, don't look to them. They ain't going to help you. And y'all ain't going to be friends. Y'all ain't going to be bonding about the nuances of being in an interracial relationship. That's not how this works. This is about isolation. So if you find yourself with a white person who you might like, love, see yourself building a life with, and they have not completely deconstructed from white supremacy, delusion, from their need to have access to white power, from capitalism, from sexism, from, I'm trying to think of what else, from any of these societal powers, and they have not deconstructed from that truly intentionally to the point where they've already cut out problematic friends and family, and they are no longer trying to navigate that world. If they haven't done all of that work, that will be done for them by the nature of them being with you, and your white partner will punish you for removing them from access to their white power.
I'm going to stop it right there. I hope, these types of videos that I don't do them to be inflammatory. I don't do them to, people like to say, you do certain content just to get views. Obviously, we're content creators. We want views. But I'm not going to do something that or talk about a topic that I just find to be inflammatory, to hurt people's feelings. I have these kinds of conversations because I feel like there are conversations we need to have. They're learning experiences, and I hope that the white people who come into the comment section, or let me just say the non-black people who come in. No, let me just say the white people, because this woman was talking primarily about white people. Don't come and think that, oh, here we go again, making it racial. We're not making it racial. It is racial. This is a woman who was married to a white man. She has children by this man. They're no longer together. They're divorced. But you cannot discount her experiences. I think we do people a disservice when we do that, when we tell them that what they went through means nothing because we're not happy with the narrative, or we're not happy with what their experience has been. This is a learning opportunity for us to sit back and listen to when people are talking. And this is also an opportunity for you to educate, for you to say, this is why they may have felt the way they felt, or I was in a situation where my friend was married to a black girl, or this is the environment she created, or this is the attitude that she brought, or whatever. That's your opportunity to then just lend your voice to the conversation, but not to shut people down like, oh, here we go again with racial talks. Because the reality is people are not going to stop having interracial relationships. Black people will go with white people till the end of time. They're having children with each other. And so why not have these conversations? What's the problem with having a conversation? Like I said, when I listened to this video for the first time, it immediately reminded me of conversations I've had with friends. I hope my friend isn't angry. I'm not calling her name. But anyway, we were having lunch one day in Old Town Alexandria in Virginia. And we went walking because we wanted to go by the water. And we're just walking, having a beautiful day. And this white guy just stops my friend, like he's on the phone with his job, and he stops, like, I thought, like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, the way he just stopped, he was so enthralled with her. And he was like, can I have your number? And da-da-da-da-da. And she's the friend who's like, I'm just not interested in like interracial relationships. But she's very nice and polite. So she took his number. And as we were walking, I was like, well, you going to call him or are you going to reach out? And she was like, I was like, well, I know your stance on this, but you never know if that person is the person for you, the person who you're meant to be with. And then it started a whole conversation about, her feeling like, I'm not going to change for somebody. And this is what the lady was talking about, like folks who feel the need to assimilate. And when I say change, I'm not talking about being nicer. Yeah, in a relationship, you should want to be nicer, kinder, more thoughtful, but you shouldn't have to change your hair, change the way you speak, change the way you genuinely are, or things that are identifying markers of your ethnicity, for somebody else. It would be like, someone with a Hispanic accent dating someone who is not Hispanic and feeling like I have to tone down my accent because I don't want them to feel a certain way. No, that's who you are. That's what makes you who you are. So why tone that down? And she didn't want to do that. And when she explained it some more, I understood. And so that's why when I heard this lady talking, it was just like, oh yeah, I kind of get it. Again, not against interracial relationships, but I think people who are in interracial relationships have to have some serious respect and understanding on both sides. Because it doesn't just happen with white people, How many times have we, well, let me say for myself, I've watched so many videos on social media where Black guys will talk about bringing white girls around to his family for family dinner, and the cousins and the aunties giving the girl like the side eye and bad treatment and stuff like that. And, oh, she's so white. Oh, she ain't down. But you're doing the same thing. Why does she have to perform for you to be assimilated in this environment? If she is lily white from Oregon, then you need to accept her being lily white from Oregon. You just have to accept her as she is and fall in love with her as she is, because if not, you're going to fall in love with an actor. And a lot of people aren't good at acting in the long term. Short term, they could put on a performance here or there. But that long term is dangerous, It's just not sustainable. Anyway, drop your comments down below. I especially want to hear from those who are in interracial relationships. What has it been like for you? Have you felt like you've been ostracized? Ladies, if you're Black and with a white guy, when you go around mixed company, like, friends and that sort of thing, how do you feel? Do they treat you differently? What do they do? Drop your comments down below. And if you're somebody who, you've thought about an interracial relationship and you said, nah, not for me. Like, why? What changed your mind? Anyway, my battery is about to die, so I better get out of here. I will see you guys in my next episode. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye. Bye.